YouTube, welcome back to Week 8 NFL predictions. For the Thursday night game, we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Houston Texans. These are two teams kind of going in opposite directions. Miami started off really hot, and Houston started off kind of slow, and Houston's kind of taken off, where Miami has started to flounder a little bit. It's kind of hard to pick Miami this week, especially with the downhill trend they're on and not having Ryan Tannehill. And Houston, they've looked pretty good. I'm going to go with Houston 20-17. Miami's only shot is if Kenyon Drake and the offense could play really good ball control and get after Deshaun Watson, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that enough. 20-14 Houston is your pick. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is a game that before the season we thought both teams would have like a combined 2 losses, maybe 3. Like these were 2 Super Bowl favorites and powerhouses. Right now they are both struggling. Carson Wentz is having outstanding start to the season, but the team just isn't getting it done. Jacksonville is their front running nature has been more evident this year than any other year. As soon as Blake Bortles starts to struggle, the defense packs it in and basically stops playing. We saw it against the Cowboys. We've seen it pretty much the entire year. They did say that Blake Bortles has a short leash this week, and if he starts to struggle, Cody Kessler's coming in, and I don't know what that means for them. Maybe he gives them a spark, but against Philadelphia's pass rush, I can't see that making a difference. I'm going to go with Philly 28, Jacksonville 17. I think Bortles does get yanked, but I don't think Cody Kessler will be ready for the pass rush Philadelphia presents. And I think Carson Wentz will do his thing, and he'll break away probably midway through the third quarter. The Eagles will pull away in the second half. Next, we got the Denver Broncos taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City, they're still a juggernaut. We saw that last Sunday night against the Bengals. It got really, really ugly. Granted, the Bengals never show up on Thursday nights, Sunday nights, Monday nights. Any primetime game, the Bengals seem to struggle with in the last handful of years. Denver, they're kind of a middle of the pack one. I mean, they're pretty good on defense as far as like getting sacks, but they don't really stop anybody. I mean, Von Miller and Bradley Chubb are both in the top 5 or 6 as far as sacks go. But other than that, they don't have much to worry about. Offensively, they can run the ball pretty well. They go 2-3 deep at running back, but nobody on the outside scares you. Demaryius Thomas is a shell of himself. They're even looking to trade him. This has Kansas City written all over it. I'm going to say Kansas City wins 35-21. Maybe if Denver's pass rush can get after him, they can maybe mitigate Kansas City a little bit, but I can't see it happening. Look for Kansas City to win by 2 scores. Next, we got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns even though they haven't won a whole lot recently, they look pretty good in a lot of these games. Baker Mayfield has given them the spark they needed over Tyrod Taylor. And Pittsburgh has been very peaks and valleys this year. They'll look really good one week, really mediocre the next. I think this is a week for them to step up and show out a little bit. I think Antonio Brown's going to get a little bit loose, but I don't think he's going to have a ridiculous game, but I think he'll have a good fantasy week, we'll put it that way. Le'Veon Bell, they still haven't heard anything from him yet. I don't think he's going to play this week, so James Conner will be coming in. He had a great week 1 against the Browns, but that game was really close and ended in a draw, where I don't think Cleveland's defense is going to play quite as well as it did that day, but I do think the offense will be a little bit better. We'll go something like 24-17. I think the Steelers will make just enough plays to actually win this one, as opposed to week 1 where they tried everything in their power to lose it. Next, we got an NFC East divisional battle as the Washington Redskins take on the New York Giants. I'm honestly quite surprised at how well the Redskins are doing. Their defense has looked really, really good this year, ranking in the top 5. And if you take away that Saints game, they'd probably honestly be a top 3 defense. Offensively, they've been pretty mediocre. I mean, Adrian Peterson's has some nice runs here and there. Alex Smith kind of controls the clock, controls the ball, but it's pretty bland to watch on offense. If they fall behind, they're basically screwed. And they don't seem to get the ball to Jordan Reed enough, in my opinion. I'm going to still say they beat the Giants by a pretty comfortable 24-14. The Giants just look terrible. Trading away Damon Harrison, trading away Eli Apple. I think it's only a matter of time before they just start trading away guys like Sterling Shepard. Feels like they're in half rebuild mode, but they're not sure how to do it. So look for Washington to win this game relatively comfortably. Next, we got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Detroit Lions. Seattle's at 500, and I didn't think they'd honestly get here. I thought they'd be sub 500 the whole year. But their defense and their running game is back like where it used to be during their Super Bowl contention days. Passing wise, they are absolutely terrible when it comes to throwing the ball and just overall offense in general. And Detroit, they looked real. A lot of Detroit fans were nervous after the first few weeks, but they've kind of turned it on recently a little bit. Stafford looks comfortable. Kerryon Johnson's a man amongst boys so far. He is not missing a beat from his Auburn days. And the defense is not great, but it's pretty good. This is a tough one, honestly. I really think Seattle's defense is going to get after Stafford and force some really bad turnovers. And I think Seattle will be able to run the ball, but I don't think they'll be able to break away. I think Detroit's going to hang in it towards the end, and I think Stafford's going to make a few late plays and give them the win 27-24 in a pretty classic. It's a classic type of game. Next, we got Tampa Bay taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Tampa Bay is they are 1-2 since they started off 2-0, and Fitzpatrick looked like the second coming. They're still number one in overall offense and number one in passing yards, but they're at the bottom in defense and the bottom in rushing. Cincinnati, they have a winning record, but they haven't been playing winning ball really. I mean, they've had a couple pretty decent games, a few breaks here, but that game against Kansas City kind of said it all. I just don't think they're that great. They have A.J. Green, and that's about it on offense. Joe Mixon looks nice here and there, but he's not somebody you could really run the entire offense through. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay just because I don't know how well Cincinnati is going to recover after that last loss. Let's look at something like 20-17 Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston makes enough plays down the stretch. Next, we got the New York Jets taking on the Chicago Bears. The Jets are already better than I thought they'd be. Sam Darnold looks like he's been in the league for quite a while. He still makes a lot of those rookie interceptions, but he's very calm and he's very poised. Where Chicago, their defense it's had games where it's absolutely outstanding, but then other games it kind of flounders a little bit. We saw it against the Dolphins especially, and a little bit this last week against the Patriots, where they just kind of get in a lull. Trubisky is one of the best running quarterbacks I've seen in years besides Cam Newton. It seems like he looks like a white Russell Wilson. And the passing game is very hit or miss. Against the Jets, though, I'm going to say they can get it done. They can control the clock. Khalil Mack's going to be in Sam Darnold's face all day, even if his ankle's still acting up. Let's look at something like 27-17. Chicago wins comfortably. Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Carolina Panthers. And Baltimore's defense has been absolutely outstanding this year. Even in that game against the Saints that they lost, they held their own for the most part. They didn't get blown back by any means. The offense is surprisingly productive. Joe Flacco's got them in the top 10 as far as passing yards goes. They can't really run the ball very well, which is surprising from a Baltimore Ravens team. But all those new weapons Flacco got, 2 tight ends and 3 new receivers, they looked pretty good. Carolina, they've been solid. They kind of just do what they do. Their slogan, keep pounding. That's pretty much what they do. They run the ball. They play effective defense. But against the Ravens, they're going to need a little bit extra, and I don't think they have it. I think the defense is going to take away Christian McCaffrey, and they're going to make Cam Newton try and beat them. He's going to have to play an outstanding type of game to beat them. I'm going to say Joe Flacco gets it done in a defensive affair, 20-13. It's a close one. Next, we got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Oakland Raiders. The Colts are coming off an absolute destruction of the Bills. Granted, it was the Bills, but that's got to do something positive for the team. Luck threw 4 touchdowns and didn't have to throw it 400 times, and they ran for over 100 yards as well. Defense forced 5 turnovers. The Raiders, they're one of the top 10 teams as far as passing yards goes, but you just traded away Amari Cooper just yesterday. And the defense has been bad. The offense, they're clearly in rebuild mode. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. If Jacksonville or someone would give them a first round or 2 first rounds, I guarantee they'd trade Carr as well. Excuse me. I'm going to say Indianapolis takes this one. We'll go with a score of 28-24. I think it's going to be there's not going to be a lot of defense this game. I think Carl make one more turnover, and I think the Colts will just control the game for the most part. The Raiders just don't seem to have it this year, and they're trading away some of their best players. They're in rebuild mode. It's clearly obvious. The Colts should win this one pretty effectively. Next, we got the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Both of these teams, 2018 is definitely not their year. They're both 1-6. San Francisco is missing their quarterback for the year. Arizona is starting a rookie quarterback. Patrick Peterson said he wants out, but then he said he's willing to stick around. San Francisco has shown the ability to run the ball very well, even without their starting quarterback. It's kind of a toss-up here. I'm going to give a slight edge to San Francisco. I really love the coaching. I love how they've been able to run the ball. George Kittle looks like one of the best tight ends in the league so far. Let's give them 24-14. I think San Francisco makes just out schemes Arizona at this point. Next, we got the Green Bay Packers taking on the LA Rams. I thought this could have been an NFC Championship game type preview at the beginning of the year, but I don't think the Packers quite have it. They have a winning record. They're in the top 10 as far as offense, defense, and passing, but it's just been ugly the way they do it. And then the Rams, they're the absolute juggernaut of the league right now. Number 1 in rushing, number 2 in offense, top 10 in defense. It's hard to pick against the Rams at this point, honestly. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers makes it look really close. I think he actually gives them a sense that they're going to win. They might even have a lead. But they're not stopping the Rams. I can't see it. So we're going to go 35-31 the Rams in a bit of a shootout, but the Rams make enough plays. In the Sunday night game, we got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Minnesota Vikings in a rematch of last year's Miracle in Minnesota. The Saints, after that first game against the Tampa Bay and the second game against Cleveland, have been on an absolute roll. Drew Brees is playing some of the best ball of his career. Alvin Kamara is still unstoppable, no sophomore slump. Mike Thomas has been absolutely fantastic. And they're coming off a big win over the Ravens, who had the number 1 defense in the league. The Vikings have finally caught their stride. Kirk Cousins looks really good. Their defense is playing a little bit better. They've won a couple, but I think this is the Saints' game to lose. I think they're going to come in trying to revenge last year's game and just establish themselves as a better team. Let's look at a 31-28. I think Drew Brees makes a few plays down the stretch and wins the game for him this week. And in the Monday night game, the Patriots take on the Bills. The Patriots look like the Patriots of old. They're back to where they should be, a top 10 overall offense. Tom Brady's looking effective. Josh Gordon's looking good. Julian Edelman's back. And the defense, it gives up yards, but it doesn't give up a whole lot as far as points go. And the Bills, they have an outstanding top 5 defense on the year, and it would probably even be higher, but against the Colts, they just look lost. They let the Colts run all over them. Andrew Luck threw 4 touchdowns. And on offense, but Derek Anderson's just not the answer. They had 5 turnovers. The Patriots should win this one comfortably. Maybe the Bills make it kind of close because their defense gets after Brady, but I can't see it after last week's performance. Look for a 35-14. Patriots win comfortably. They might even score more if they decide to run up the score. But this one, they shouldn't have any issues with this one. The Bills just don't have any firepower to keep up with them. And that's it for this week's NFL predictions. If you like the video, feel free to drop a like and maybe subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching. See you later.